What is up everybody? In this video we are taking a look at these, the Saucony Endorphin Pro Plus. What is up everybody and welcome back to 40 Runs. Now people, tell me, have you been sucked in by the Endorphin line? Let me know in the comments which one you went for. Was it Pro, Shift, Pro Plus? Let me know in the comments. Right, so today we're talking about the Pro Plus. Now this is basically a stripped down lightweight version of the Pro, the Endorphin Pro from Saucony. I took these out for a half marathon and I wanted to let you know how I got on with them, but also talk a little bit about the sort of differences between this and the Pro 2. Okay people, so here it is, the Pro Plus. Now plus actually means less. No, that doesn't make any sense, does it, right? But what they've done with the Pro Plus is they've stripped it down and made it super lightweight. Now this is a UK 9.5 and it weighs 7 point, I'll tell you what it is, ounces, 7.6. So 7.6 ounces for a UK 9.5. Now I'm going to compare that to, this is the Pro 2. That comes in at 8.1, and just for what's it and kicks, here's the Pro, the original, 8.3. So this is lost a fair amount of weight, I would say. It's brought it right under in terms of, and in line actually with some of the other super shoes out there, so like your Vaporfly and stuff like that. The shoe is £220. It is in a limited supply. Apparently they're only going to do one run of these shoes, so if you can get it, that's up to you, but it is in a limited run. The shoe's going to come out. It's got exactly the same stack height, 35.5 mil in the heel as this. It's got 8 mil drop. We've got the Power Run PB. We've got the S plate, S-shaped carbon plate in it. We've got speed roll technology. We've got all the stuff that this bad boy's got, but what they've done is they've stripped weight from the top half. Okay, so in terms of the top half, what have they done? So we've got a one-piece mesh upper that goes all around the shoe. They've got rid of all the overlays. They've got rid of all the unnecessary stuff on the shoe, or stuff that they thought was unnecessary. And they've basically created a racing flat. So you're strapped to a carbon plate and some Power Run PP and a nice bit of speed roll technology. That is what they've done. They've stripped it right down. The tongue is barely there. I mean, look at the comparison. So you can see the design work on this versus the simplicity of this. And I think that's the overriding factor. You've got loads, but loads compared to this, of foam around the heel area to make this a comfortable place to be. They've got rid of all of that in this shoe. There's a little bit of padding at the back, and this goes out nicely to over your back of your Achilles. Once you get in the shoe, if you look, it just pops out like that. But there's no structure in the back. The really cool thing about this shoe that I've found, and I'm going to show you on the camera, see that? Now that is this sort of sock liner that creates effectively a cradle for your shoe. It's really prominent. Can you see that? Yeah, I don't know if that's coming out, but basically you sit in this sort of, I don't know, cradle, I think the best way to sit. Your foot sits on top of it and it's just held in by these sides. See how much that raises up? Now that could give some of you some problems, so just watch out because it's quite prominent, but I had no problems with it in terms of fitting. But my foot just sat in it and it just held me. So you don't need all these flashy overlays or anything. They've created it with the sock line on the inside, or the, you know, whatever you want to call it, the insole. They've created that there. Hopefully that is coming out. So it's a really sort of stripped back hardcore shoe. What is it designed for? Well, ultimately I would say marathons, but for me this is more of a half marathon shoe. So going back through the Endorphin's Pro lineup, let's call it, this shoe I ran my PB, half marathon PB, which I think, I'm going to get this one, I should have checked before I came out, was 1:39, I think. Actually stay there, we'll check. 1:39.22, and I ran that on the track. Check the video out, you can watch it for yourself. Now I picked this because it was the most consistent shoe over the half marathon distance, which is why I like the Pro. Great shoe, and that's why I've kept this shoe out. It's now in the shoeseum, if that's even a word. We created the shoeseum. Let me know, I don't even think that sounds right. But basically it's a museum for shoes. Then when the Pro 2 came out, we had to have some of that because I like the Pro. Now, hopefully you know by now how much of a fan I am of the Speed 2. If I could say to buy one shoe, it's the Speed, right, or the Speed 2. But I like the Pro because it's a little bit more stable. I can actually do a little bit more sort of stable training runs in it and that half marathon distance without wobbling a little bit around. I love the speed, love it, and it does everything. But the Pro for me just offers that sort of toned down version of the speed for me because of the sort of pronation issues I have. Anyway, so the Pro 2 was just basically a update to the upper, and I think they improved the shoe. I loved it. It's a great shoe. It's done well for me, but I've mainly spent time in it doing sort of training runs in it and the odd half marathon. So yeah, I mean, it's okay, but the Speed 2 is just, I think, is the better out of the two. But I say the Pro is a good alternative if the speed's a little bit unstable for you. And then they came out with this Pro Plus. Now they called it the Pro Plus, as we said, but they've actually reduced it. What I actually think they should have done, my view, is this is what should have been the original shoe. They should have came out with this when they redone the Pro, and maybe this was an afterthought, but I think this is what they should have done because it's more of a hardcore super shoe feeling shoe. It goes, you know, up against your Asics Meta Speed Sky, and it goes up against your Vaporfly. I just think this is more towards training competition, where this is more competition because of the racing flat style of it. And I think because of the range is so powerful from Saucony, the Pro at the top should have been this originally. So something that is hardcore, something that is, you know, your racing shoe, your race day shoe, that isn't that sort of hybrid between the two. And I think that's the problem with the Pro. The problem is with the Pro is that the speed is just so good. But I think this is what the shoe should have been in the first place. I do think 220 quid's a bit of a Mickey take because this is 190. I think it's a bit of a liability in terms of asking 200, you know, whatever it is, 30 quid more for this, which is a stripped down version. But I think this is what the shoe should have been in the first place. So quickly to recap, how does it feel? Well, this is a snappy ride, people. With that speed roll and that plate, it really does kick you on. I think because of the lightness of it, it really sort of emphasises the speed roll and the snap off the shoe. It is firmer than a lot of the shoes out there in terms of the super shoes, you know, like your Zoom X's and even your Puma Elite, your Elite SP. This is definitely a firmer ride out of the two, and I think it sits between the sort of Vaporfly and your your Pumas of this world. It's probably the closest to a degree is probably the Asics Meta Speed Sky in terms of feeling. But yeah, it's a great compound. We know the Power Run PP is super efficient, and with the speed roll technology and the plate, it just works. But for me, the feeling of this shoe versus this one is it's just a little bit more snappy, and I think that comes from the lightweightness of it. You can just feel it. It can just hit you like that as you're going through. If you start tearing after it, it really does come on. And that's why I think this is what the shoe should have been in the first place. It's definitely an improvement over this, and there's nothing wrong with this shoe, people. This shoe is awesome, right? But yeah, this shoe is what I think it should have been in the first place. So if you can justify the 220 quid, £20, and you can still get your hands on it, then I would recommend this shoe 100% over the Pro. Because I still think, like I said, the Pro should be your standout racing shoe if you're looking at the Endorphin line. But how does it compare against the other shoes? I think I'm going to do a comparison video versus some of the other shoes out there in terms of super shoes. But yeah, I like it. It's not going to be for everyone. It is a firmer ride than probably what it looks like, but I think what they've done to it is pretty cool. But I just wish they'd done this in the first place.